You guys can see that somewhat? Cool. All right. So this is not comp plan training. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to understand the rewards plan, that it's kind of unique, it's kind of special. I want to be clear in how I enunciate how you guys should talk about your role, and working at a I'll say a high level as to organizations, right? So today I want to go over how to use or how to talk about what our entire model is for groups, whether it's a company, whether it's a nonprofit organization, and an influencer of great influence, say a professional athlete, because they usually have foundations, but nonprofit organizations, other organizations, companies, groups, and why what we're doing is really tied into that approach, to give you guys the comfort in having those conversations. We good? Good. Okay. So one, the most important thing to understand with this is not network marketing. You do not have a home-based business. You're not selling a business opportunity or anything like that. And anybody that's talking about it is doing themselves a disservice. You're doing yourself an absolute disservice by putting yourself in that category, right? Because I'm going to assume that many of you here have been and worked in the MLM or direct sales industry in the past. And if you have, you've been screwed over by an MLM. Why would you ever want to put yourself in that category? I mean, we are not a business model. We're not even a company that has a 90% failure rate. That's the MLM industry. You guys know that? 9 out of 10 people never succeed. And of that 1 out of 10, 8 out of, if you go bigger numbers, 8 out of 10 of that 1%, of that 10% never really experience success. It's not something you want to put a conversation into. So if someone asks you, is this MLM? No, it's not. So when you're talking to someone on a high level, if you're talking to someone of influence, all you need to do is tell them, look, I'm an ambassador of the brand. I'm an ambassador of Root. I'm a brand ambassador. I'm an influencer, because you all are. Because the important part is we are all of influence to someone, usually more. And I was talking about this with Dino a couple weeks ago, and he's like, every person has 200 contacts, right? They have 200 relationships on average. I would shrink that, I would say 20, right? Instead of 10xing it like is the big buzzword because of Grant Cardone's marketing, right? He does the big 10x thing. Divide it by 10. Everyone has 20 really good relationships, right? Or I have like 2-3 friends. You guys know my best friend. She's like special. The other 2 I hang out with, but I have one best friend. But everybody's got at least 20 people that they could reach out to, that you could call them and go, dude, or as my kids say, bro, I found something, you got to try this, you're going to love it. So all you are, and this is not to minimize the point, but you're an ambassador of the brand. Because how do you become an ambassador? There's only one way to do it, right? Everyone's a customer. But in order to become an ambassador, you had to have performed a behavior that gave you the opportunity to become an ambassador. It is not something given. It is not something purchased. It is something earned. And then you're provided the opportunity without expense, right? You didn't pay. You don't buy a pack to become an affiliate or a distributor. You earn it. And you earn it through sharing, period. Only way possible. So when looking at the model, being an ambassador, you're an ambassador of a brand, you're an ambassador of our mission, our vision, our purpose, right? Which is basically happy and healthy to start with. We do it pretty well because I know Mickey's going, we're doing that pretty well, right? So what you then want to look at is your sphere of influence. Where do you have influence? Why do you have influence? Well, you have influence because of your relationships, right? You have your 20 people that you can go to. Many of us would have more. If you're Lady O, your list is 2 million people because that's how you are. If you're me, there's maybe 3 or 4 that will actually listen to me. But you have your influence. You have influence because of your experience. And we've seen that over the last couple weeks. Go to YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel. Go on the Facebook groups. Mickey, I'm going to use you as an example, right? Childhood trauma, incapable of actually dealing with the life experiences that she had because our brains aren't built to deal and manage the trauma that she endured. But through a process, and this is what's crucial in that, one, it's the experience itself, but it's also the heavy metals, the mercury that holds all of that negativity, that creates chaos. As you start to eliminate that stuff, you eliminate the emotional blockages. You eliminate the body's ability to hold on to the trauma. It's detoxification at a spiritual and emotional level as well as physical. It creates a triangle. You also might refer to that as a trinity of chaos, but we have the trinity of health and happiness. I just made that up. You can go with it. So based on your experiences, you have influence. If I was Mickey, I would be finding groups that deal with PTSD. If I was Lori, I would be talking to groups of women that are battered, that have been through the physical trauma, the emotional trauma of abusive relationships. Why? Because she has gone through a process and seen results and outcomes that every single one of them can't even dream of, right? Because she talked about that. It was never something she intended to get results from because she never thought it was even possible. So you have to look at your own story, your own influence on who you can serve. But each one of you, as an ambassador of the brand, also has the ability to share that because it's all public. It's on our YouTube channel. So how do you do that? Well, let's go to the blackboard. So if you're of influence to, or you're talking with a group, what you say is, I'm an ambassador of a brand that does health and happiness at a level we've never seen. They help remove the bad stuff from your system. They help your body feel amazing through dopamine and serotonin, and they help your body regenerate and restore, however you want to do it, right? But they do it so simply. It's through sharing. So, and they're like, hold on a second. So churches, think of this. If you go to church, because I've got a friend doing this for 1,000 churches tomorrow. What does everyone pray for when they go to church? To get healthy?
Healing.
Or to have more money?
Love.
And they need love,
for love,
right? They need a sense of community. They want to feel better, and they need a little help. It's like, great, I think I got something for you on that. So you can go to an organization and say, great. You have that organization, and then what happens? That organization is able to share, we'll say with their congregation or with those that they have influence over. There's a long question. I'll get that in a minute. So you have the organization. They have their consumption base. So how does that work? Well, they're going to be able to provide, just like we do, right? It's the same conversation. Based on their followers or their sphere of influence, their congregation, the nonprofits group, they consume 15% is going back to the consumer or to the organization, plus the daily pay, plus the harvest rewards bonus just on the direct customers. So is it 15%? No, it's bigger than that. But this is where the fun part comes in, right? You ask whoever has that organization, great. How many other organizations do you know that are doing the same thing? Because everyone's connected, whether it's through individuals like us, or it's company owners, or organization managers. They know people doing the same things, right? If you're overseeing a project in one country, you probably know people that are overseeing the same project in another country because it's all like-minded. We're all doing the same thing. So what happens in that? You're able to show that organization, look, let me show you how to create influence and compound what you're doing. But what's the big thing with these organizations that all are doing the same thing, but all work separately? They don't cross-collateralize. There's no activity from one that benefits the other. They're all secular, right? They're in silos. They do their own thing, and that's it. There isn't something to bring them all together to compound their collective influence. This does it because you can go organization, 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 organization. Now what happens? The one that started the whole thing is continually rewarded for being the one that does it. And it creates a perpetual model of revenue, but also outcomes that resonates with what their entire goal is. And it's doing it in a manner that's not been done before. Make sense? And then from there, what happens? Wash, rinse, repeat. It's the same thing. And what happens when they duplicate it, right? Because all you're going to do is teach them the same thing. And it looks like we're drawing MLM circles, but it's spheres of influence, right? Because when someone asks you, is this multi-level marketing? No, it's not. But because we're smarter than most, and this is how you explain this to people. This is what you guys can take home from this. Blackboards are so much better than whiteboards, by the way. They're great. how did we create this? What is this modeled after? One, Amazon, right? What did Amazon do? Started selling books. This is important that you get the word tracking on this, because when you're talking to a business, you can explain this, and this will give you the entire business model that I used to create this entire infrastructure. You have Amazon. What did Amazon do? They created a website to initially sell books. Consumers created a free account so they could order books differently. And then they started sharing. My mom and my grandmother were some of the first customers of Amazon, because I grew up in the state of Washington, about an hour from where Amazon is located. So they were some of the first people, because it started from word of mouth just in the Seattle area. And then it started to spread because people were like, hey, you got to create an account. You can get books differently. And then what did Amazon do? Like, well, we're pretty good at selling a lot of these. We have a lot of customers. Let's replace books. Let's make it digital. And then as that continued to grow out, and as they added more consumers, they added more products. They added more services. Did Jeff Bezos get rich overnight? No. It took a little bit, right, to build out that approach. But no one can argue that his approach was not successful, because he kind of took over the world when it comes to distribution, or at least the United States and some other countries. But now you have Alibaba that basically did the same thing in Asia or in China. And you have some models in different countries doing the same thing. But that entire approach was done based on social sharing. It was done because consumers told their friends to create a free account. Do you remember how much you got rewarded? Now think of this. How many of your friends back in the day, 20 years ago, did you tell about Amazon? Probably more than one. Could be close to 20, right? How much money did you ever receive for that referral? Absolutely none. Pretty good business model for Jeff Bezos. Smart. Create the largest direct sales model in history and not ever pay for it. Freaking genius. So you have that. That's step one. Step two. You guys read that? I don't know. Social media influence. So this is part two. How many of us are on social media? All of us, right? How many of us stay connected with people through social media? All of us, right? Especially in our new world for the time being. Many people aren't even getting together with friends or family directly and personally. It's all virtual. And what's happened over the last 10 to 15 years? You know, Amazon has exploded, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, TikTok, I'm probably missing some. All of these tech companies have exploded in value. But what are they doing? They're aggregating your information. They're actually just selling what we do. they're taking your consumption and your creation of data and selling it. And companies spend a lot of money for that information. So what we did is, instead of, as a company, paying the beast for the data that they have on all of us, we chose to put the money back into the content creators, not the aggregator. And what do we know about consumption through social media and online today? It's all done through links that you put on social media. Someone will send you an Instagram post. You click on it, you buy something. It's on an ad on Facebook. It's something you send your friends. You might text somebody something, right? It's all social. Every one of those links is tracked. There's people of influence, groups of influence. They understand affiliate marketing, because when there's a code, whether it's a television show, whether it's a television commercial, if it's on the radio, if it's on a podcast, if it's on YouTube, Instagram, Google, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, all of it is linking back to someone or something, so someone is getting compensated for it. It's how business is done today. Instagram sells more products through its channel than every part of the internet besides Amazon. So what did we do? Well, we took number one, Amazon. We took number two, all the social influence. So here's the big thing on the social influence standpoint. If you're an influencer and you have your population of people, whether you have your 20 friends, you have 20,000, you have 2 million, companies are willing to pay you for what you can directly generate and what you can directly create, right? You send a message out on Instagram with your code to your friends. If they consume it, you get a cookie, unless you're selling cookies. Then maybe you get a cookie for a cookie. What the company plans on is that those consumers through you will tell their friends, but they won't use that code. They're going to tell them, hey, go to this company. They have this amazing product. I just bought it because so-and-so sent me a message on it. Could have been a celebrity, could have been an organization, could have been an individual. All of those people that are connected to the initial consumers create free revenue for the company. Because what happened? You created a community of consumption based off the referral from one. That one individual can create a massive amount of value for an organization, for a company. So this leads into part 3. And I'm going to put these letters up here, and I despise them, and I'm going to put an X through it, but you guys can see it. But you'll get the principle, because this was the third part. Multi-level marketing. Actually, I got an idea. Changing color. There we go. Put that on social media. This is the third piece that is the most important, but all it's based on. And when you talk about that bad word, right? Because almost everyone's heard of it. 9 out of 10 people hate it, because we know 9 out of 10 fail at least. So there's a negative connotation that goes along with it. There's bad feelings. There's a purity that the concept was based upon, which goes back to part 2. If you're someone who is of influence to others, if you share and the products are of value, if they're any good, those people will end up sharing with their friends, who share with their friends, who share with their friends, and so on and so forth. It happens naturally because it's what we do. It's already been proven through history. Largest companies, make sure you understand this. The largest companies in the world were built through this same approach, but none of them compensated people for doing it. How many friends did you tell about Facebook? How many friends have you told about Instagram? How many friends have you told about Twitter? How many friends have you told about TikTok? If you're our age and you're on TikTok, you're twisted. Because the last thing I want to see is like Sandy going awkward. I mean, seriously awkward. I don't need to see that. I'm not even on TikTok. But look at what happens. These companies have created not billion, not million, $1 trillion market valuations from social sharing and content creation. And they didn't pay you a dime. They didn't pay you a penny. But being able to understand this approach and being willing to value those who create value, the purest of what the industry was based upon, which was if a person creates value by sharing, they should be rewarded for it. But how should you be rewarded for it? Should you be rewarded based on a couple levels of what you can create? Of course not, because that limits the value of what you're capable of doing, because each one of us is able to create an infinite amount of value if we're properly incentivized. So we took that concept and just made it infinite to go along with step 1 and step 2. That is that. That's why you get to share, because there's an infinite reward for sharing something that will benefit people and can resonate with the organization. Make sense? Let me see here. Let me see here. Elizabeth, send me a message on that. I can answer it more in depth. Let me see here. Sharing groups, you have to be careful how you say it, and then it works to do it all the time. Yes. Wow, that's it? Seriously, guys?
Clayton, can I touch on something?
Have you taken your restore and your zero in today?
Absolutely.
Then you can speak.
Okay. Thank you. At my little that little crafter event thing where it was like 10 people there was another event going on, so there was like nobody at this event. But however, the people that I did talk to were very interesting. And the one lady, I shared a couple videos and she got back to me. And she asked me at the event, is this an MLM? And I said, no, ma'am, by far it's not. And I said, you can remain as a customer. And I briefly touched on, some points. And then yesterday, I followed up with these people and she comes back to me and says, oh my God, I am not interested. This is so an MLM company. And she sent me this information about Root and it talks about MLM, but I said, oh my God, I said, we are not an MLM company. I am not interested. If you continue to contact me, I'm going to report you for harassment. And I thought, oh my God, this lady's crazy.
Well, and that's where we say, here, try a couple capsules of Zero In, call me in 30 minutes.
But you know what, Clayton, this lady, her legs were no bigger than my forearm. Her mother was on drugs during the pregnancy, and she was born without an esophagus. Her whole spine is a metal rod. She has 27. I mean, she is, if anybody needs it, she does. And, and she told me about her, but I don't know what to do, with her to inform her that this is not an MLM company.
So here's the thing. Is that the concern, or is it that she's really toxic and she needs someone to care?
She's super toxic, but she says, Google is my friend. And I believe Google because she found information on Root being an MLM company.
Well, tell her that Siri puts out more than Google and you don't even have to pay her.
Okay, so if I get reported for harassment by trying to help this lady,
it's and this is the whole point. It's about caring. Remember the Care Bears? The Care Bears growing up, they said sharing is caring. I love the blue one, by the way. The blue Care Bear, I forgot his name, but he was the best, not the pink one. Although the Sunshine Bear, the yellow one, was great too. This is bringing back my childhood. I kind of love it. I remember watching Care Bears all the time. Don't judge me. But it's not a matter of selling, right? You're not selling anything. It's a matter of saying, hey, look, you know what? I understand your story. And this is the part of communication that's so important, right? You're not selling anything. It's a matter of saying, I don't want you to do anything. We're not talking about a business opportunity or anything else. What we were talking about is you're more toxic than the freaking Hudson River. And if you want to feel better and you want to function better, maybe, Grumpy was the blue bear. That's why I loved him so much, because he always came through in the end. But Dory wins. Dory wins the internet for the day.
Well, Clayton, I had also shared with her, I said, please take a look at, what I have. I said, you're saying to know with something that you don't even really know about that can tremendously help you.
Well, and it's a matter of being slow, right? Take the approach and the philosophy the same way we do with Clean Slate. Do you tell somebody, hey, take 20 drops of this right now? No. Start with one, go slow. It's a matter of investment, right? Do you try to get rich quick? Some people do, but it's an investment. It's an investment in that individual, right? And that's why you build them up. It's a matter of building trust, right? Because she probably, with her history, as you know, like if we were talking about your history, you would give me stuff over the last couple of years, right? And say, oh, I've been through this and this. But if we really got down into it and we went back 5, we went back 10, we went back 15, we went back 20 years, just like we were doing in the office, you go, oh, there's a whole heck of a lot more dirt that we need to clean up than just what we're talking about. And marketing calls it dripping, right? It's just taking an interest. Sandy's the best example. Sandy has relationships that he's built that took months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a matter of persistence and saying, hey, you know what? You would really benefit from this stuff. You'd really like this. Let me send you this. Let me send you that. It's not a matter of saying, oh, you got to do this, because if someone's mindset is, oh, this is MLM, what is that? It's fear-based. That's okay. It's okay to be afraid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Change the approach. Figure out how to communicate with her.
Okay, with you saying that, Clayton, you know, like if I do health events like that and meet people, how do you, I mean, I know this might sound like a silly question, but like, how do you accumulate relationships with a large amount of people? I mean, yeah, I want to be their friend, and
No, you don't want to be friends. It's not about being friends, but it's about taking notes, right? If you're meeting people, and I've got a couple colleagues that have a contact mapping app.
Yeah.
But it's about taking notes and being interested in those that you're meeting, right? It's an investment of time. It's an investment of interest in another person, right?
Yes.
I don't know if she's here. Let me see if she's here, because I'll use her as an example. I don't know if I see her, but I'll use Paris as an example, right? Because most of you, actually not most of you probably haven't, you were live when you watched it, or you haven't seen the video, but Sandy made an investment of time to communicate, connect with, talk with Paris, and I think it was Marino, wasn't it, Sandy? It was you. So see, there you go. It was through social media that he had a connection with someone that he wasn't close to, right? Didn't have a personal relationship with, but we're on social media together. He saw that she had life experience that he might be able to provide benefit for, because he took some time to understand her position and spent time. It wasn't, oh my God, this is the greatest thing you've ever seen, you got to do this. It was, hey, you know what? Can we have a conversation? Can I share some stuff with you? Can we have further conversation? I see what you're doing, what you've done, where you've been through. Might be able to have some experience that can help you. And through that, not only has her life completely changed,
Mm-hmm.
but now she's telling everybody she knows that knows what she's been through, what she did, and what she found. Now imagine taking that on an organizational level.
Okay.
It's just because you're not here's the important part of the model of what we've built, because you have to look at all the other businesses that were built like it, because we just went over them. Amazon, the entire social media infrastructure. Did Google become worth $1.5 trillion overnight? No, or 1.7? Did Amazon become worth $1 trillion and a half overnight? No. Did Apple? No. Did Instagram become worth 250 or $500 billion overnight? No. It takes time. It takes consistency, it takes persistency, and it's consistent consumption. You will never get rich on a couple people, right? In anything that you do. If you do, you're probably stealing from them, or you're selling them something that is not going to provide them great benefit, and you're getting money out of them for something. We don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's providing value that is perpetual, that is shareable, that creates long-term value. you're creating a consumption base the same way. I mean, looking at stocks, like one of the internet providers that I look at pays a 7% dividend year over year because they have all their internet subscribers and they just pay out dividends. You go, okay, how come they can pay out 7%? It's because they know they have consistent consumption because their subscriber base continues to buy from them because they provide value. Now,
that's who I am. I add value to people's lives. That's just
exactly
what I do.
That's just it. And that's the whole premise. The key then is being able to take that understanding that each one of us has the ability to provide a tremendous amount of value and influence to the lives of others, and look at how you can do that in the biggest way possible. It's working on a micro level individually, but also understanding that you can work macro. Organizations, groups want the same capability that individuals want. Because know this, most of you guys aren't in the United States, but here in the US last year, 70% of all of the nonprofit organizations in the United States went out of business. They're gone. Do you know what all of those organizations needed? Money. They needed something that resonates with their mission, their purpose, their vision to generate more revenue. That's what we do. And you can't. It's the social, we call it compassionate commerce is probably the best way. I think we trademarked that. I called it compassionate capitalism, and then the people smarter than me came back to like, no, it's compassionate commerce because some people have a negative feeling about capitalism. It's compassionate commerce, right? Because look at the competitors that we have. Amazon, online commerce. How much do they give back to the people that created it? Very little. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, YouTube, TikTok. It's funny that all these companies end up getting consumed by the same companies. How much money do they put back into the community that built them? How much do we? A ton. Commerce, compassion. As Jerry Maguire said, show me the money. And that's the best way to explain it. Well, what of approach is this? It's compassionate commerce. Well, how does that work? Well, if you like the products and you share it, the company puts the money back into you versus into the beast. That's it. It really, and that's the key point of, is that the right one up there? Yeah, you can see it right there. Authenticity and simplicity. So that's the goal, right? That's really how simple it is. Here, hold on. Mika, I'll write it down. We got 10 minutes. Who's got another question?
Clayton, please. Can I ask you something about Root Your Life? Because I can see that we don't have any stories again in Root Your Life. Don't we do that again?
Yeah, we can. I think it's gone. Well, Birgit, I'll answer your question in a second. You don't build downlines, you build customers and consumption, right? You can put your stories and root your life. You have to just be careful with some of the claims, because we already got letters from the Better Business Bureau. And it was interesting because of having the conversation with the watchdogs that kind of function between the direct sales industry and the FTC. They sit in the middle, and they sent me a letter, and they're like, you have a bunch of claims on your website and on social media about these results. I'm like, no, they're not claims. And it led to interesting conversations, because they were asking about, okay, are these results repeatable? I'm like, yes, great. The reference to research material, they're referring to clinoptilolite and zeolites, because a lot of times with companies that are using published research literature, the amount of an ingredient studied in a clinical trial is typically much higher than what companies are selling, right? So the outcomes have a great disparity, right? They claim that this is great, but they sell down here. And it was interesting because they were asking us, or they're asking me, how do you compare with the literature? It says that if you use X amount of clinoptilolite, you get these results. I said, well, yeah, we're about 1,000 times less than what's been studied, maybe more than 1,000 times less, but we're getting those outcomes. They're shaking their head. Oh boy, because we're way past compliant. But they want us to be mindful of the names. And that's why there's loads of other groups, right? And here's a secret, guys. Like for Mickey, I don't have unstable internet connection. We just improved it. I don't get this here. You have your life experience for childhood trauma. Create your own group. Right? Guys, create your own groups for whatever your history is, whatever your purpose is. Why are you here? What is it that resonates most with you, with your experience? It could be more than one thing. Create multiple groups, moderate your own groups. It's hilarious because I see some people that I'm friends with on the line that make a bunch of claims. Like I won't use her name, but there's one friend that she's an MLM super junkie, and she's really smart because she has like 10 different companies that she promotes, because it's a lot easier to make $2,000 to $3,000 a month with a company than it is to make 25,000. So if you have 10 companies that you make $2,000 with, you're making 25,000, right? But she will make a post of, hey, you can turn $1 into $30,000 in 90 days. We all know that's not true. But people are like, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know. Just building a database, right? But if you're authentic and you're doing something to create value, and you're talking about experiences and something that you're passionate about and you can help and share, people have an interest in that, and you're actually going to provide value. And that's what's really important. And yeah, like Birgit was mentioning, you're not building a downline. You're just building a community of consumption, a community of like-minded people that all want the same thing. Because what are we consistent with? What are we creating? Health and happiness. Who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be in a community of like happy, healthy people? It's not a bad deal, right? I mean, Matt's in. So hey Matt, I left a message for Alan, by the way. So okay, we got 3 minutes. We'll go to 12:55. So I'm 10 minutes longer than I wanted to be. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, well,
very clear.
Clayton, I've got a question, because you say, well, create your own group. Well, I'm in Italy and we've created the Italian group, but I do know Dutch people, so I'm in the Dutch group with Mika, and then there's 2 English groups, and it's just getting very confusing if I should create also my own English group and my own Dutch group. You see what I mean? There's so many groups.
I would.
And then
there's a benefit. I'm not saying like root groups, right? I would, if you have root groups, you know, in different areas, create that sense of community, right? And you guys, I can say from being in some of the groups and watching stuff, I mean, as an organization, people do such a great job of letting people know when they ask questions, hey, if you want to order, get back to the person that referred you to this group. You know, so you police that. But it's having those communities. But what I'm saying as far as building groups is, you know, for like Mika, if she has, or find groups that you resonate with, childhood trauma, PTSD, whatever, join those groups and talk, and then don't just jump in and go, oh my God, I found the greatest thing ever. But join the groups and provide value and participate and talk about what you'd gone through, because like Mika's gone through, she's gone her life, all 28 years of it, to where she's held back what she experienced when she was younger, but now she's able to process it and she's releasing it. People spend a ton of money to not ever get that. And being able to talk through it and explain to people, like when she sent me the message last week, and she's like, look, this is what I experienced. This is what I went through. If she gets in a group for PTSD and she says, look, this is what I experienced. This is how it affected my life up until this point. I refuse to do this. I refuse to do that. I've been through all these things. This is how my life experience affected me. This is what it led to. I then found this and this and this, and I did this and this, and this is what my experience has been.
Clayton, I think the best thing would to say to also Elsbeth, what I say every day, talk about your pain on your Facebook. Tell your story. And if you don't have a product story, you have also pain in your life. Everybody has pain in their life. Last week, I get 6 or 7 new customers only about my story on Facebook. That's what I want to tell you. Tell your story. Your story, you can help people with the same story you have done, you have had. That's, I think, what Clayton means. We need a community like Ruth Dutch for all of us, for questions and answers, but you need to have your own story. That's the most important. Thank you.
And it's yours. Every one of us is different, right? But it's being able to express to people, hey, this did this for me. I've seen this do this and this and this for my friends. And then you share someone else's experience. If you follow what I do on Facebook, I just post a bunch of chaos, right? Because I love posting what other people are experiencing. And I love making comments that some people find to be offensive at times. Because that's my personality. And if you know me, you go, yeah, that's him. But I find more value in talking about and showing and sharing the experiences of others on my page. Because for me, that's a reward. Right? Because it's what we're doing. Do the same thing. And not here. People don't want to hear you talk from your mouth. They want to hear you talk from your heart. When you figure that out, everyone listens. One of the adages, I forgot where I learned it from, but the Chinese monks do a really good job of using this. Take this as you may. This is our last point for the day. If you go to the town center and stand on a pulpit and start preaching, people will run from you. They will scatter. But if you go to that same town center, douse yourself in gasoline and light yourself on fire, they will come from miles around to watch you burn. Which one do you want? Get the gasoline out. That's it. Tell your story. Tell everyone else's story. If you feel your experience isn't abundant enough to get your message across for how you want to portray this opportunity for others, share someone else's experience along with yours. You have vast amounts of them. They're on the YouTube channel. I'll give you guys some hints. I have a great passion for autism, right? For helping families with kids that are in the spectrum. I have no means of resonance with families of kids that are in the spectrum. Granted, I probably was in the spectrum. My wife says that I'm in the spectrum myself, and I'm oppositionally defiant. But I don't have a kid that is in the spectrum. I don't have any experience in that. But what do I have? I have a phenomenal video on YouTube that's probably the greatest explanation of autism and how to address it ever put together. I have loads of experiences from people in the community that do have experience with their kids or themselves. So when I respond to, because I'm in a bunch of groups for autism families and such. So when I see people post about, I have a 14-year-old nonverbal child that is banging his head and how do I get some relief? Do I say, oh my God, I found the greatest thing ever, you got to try this stuff? No. I'll just post a video. I'll post someone's comment and I'll leave it. That's it. It's like fishing, but it's providing value and then letting people find what resonates with them. And this is the important part for Nicole, in their time. You don't get to dictate someone else's time frame because you don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know what kind of crazy someone's going through. I can tell you, like a month and a half ago, I was supposed to have a conference call with a doctor to answer some questions for her. She was 5 minutes late getting on the call. My time's kind of important to me because I'm kind of busy. So I was a little bit pissed, right? Because I don't want to wait for people. I don't make people wait for me, or at least I try not to. I try to be respectful. I don't want people, usually if someone's more than 5 minutes late, I'll just hang up. I got too much to do. I didn't expect for her to get on crying and apologize for being late because she just found out 10 minutes before that her 25-year-old daughter had been vaccinated the day before and died that morning. Who is it for me to say, oh, I'm pissed at you for being 5 minutes late? I don't know what kind of crazy is in her life right now. But I sure as hell know, probably going to have a conversation about taking care of some people because of what we do. But that time was not ideal. I know. So, yeah, I'm going to be there in just a second. You want to say hi? Just real quick, because it'll make everyone happy, because the one thing they want to see is not me. This is my ambassador training. I was just wrapping up. See, now it became the best training ever.
No. Sorry, it's just getting on. I was like, you're on a call. Hope you guys are doing okay.
See, look at all the hearts. You show up, I get hearts. I get none of that.
I need the hearts. It's one of those days. Thank you, you guys.
Hey, you get hearts and hearts and hearts. I never get hearts. Man. So
we need a new sign. We need the corn dog sign here. Then you get the corn dog sign.
That will work.
Our running gag. I love it so much.
So we're good. So that's our training for the day. Hopefully you guys have the feedback. So does that make sense from an organizational standpoint, but also how to share, right? And like Lady O as an example, she has her community of people, and we have once we can figure out proper logistics to get to Jamaica and everywhere else. We're good in Canada, but the ability to have an influence over a large population of people that don't have a focus on the money aspect. They want to make sure that they're going to be as healthy as possible, and we're protecting ourselves as much as possible in this current environment. It's quite important. It's quite valuable. So that is all. Cheers all. See you guys in a bit. Probably see a bunch of you tomorrow.
Thank you, Clayton.
Bye.
I recorded this too, so I'll see if it downloads for me or where it downloads. And then we'll do it. Of course you did, because you're better than me. All right. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye, y'all.
Thanks.